Hello, URIKA people. How are you? Today I want to talk about society's misinterpretation of polyamory and how it's probably hurting a lot of people, unfortunately. Giving people a bad rep who embrace polyamory and making people question everyone about how and why they feel connected to this lifestyle. I have a friend here. We've been having a monogamous, polyamorous debate, and there's some insights shared in our conversation that made perfect sense to me, and it's something that I would have really never considered, and it might be something that you or someone you love or care about is absolutely experiencing, so I thought it would be very worth discussing here today. So, secret friend who's not on the video.
Yes.
We were just talking about basically people who have had someone cheat on them, which is like everybody in the whole world. Sad but true. I mean, I don't know. I've never met somebody who's not been cheated on.
I don't know anybody who has.
There's no such thing as not being cheated on. So clearly our relationship structures need assistance. So based on that, that can leave people feeling desperate and reaching for straws to try to figure out how to stop being cheated on and to feel better. And so the assumption that some people make that people are interested in polyamory or open relationships is like not very genuine. It's more out of desperation, positioning, social acceptance, just trying to be loved. Like I remember my mother actually said something real nasty to me back in the day. She was like, "Oh, you're just doing that open relationship thing because you're so desperate and you're very insecure and you think that's what you need to do to keep your man." And I was like, okay, Stonehenge, you know, whatever. That's what she believed. That was her perception of my reality. So, you know, unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who they've used situations that they don't relate to, and then they form opinions and make assumptions, and then, you know, it creates a negative space for people who are authentically, happily living these lives because, you know, naysayers, you know, gather together and chatter about the hearsay. So the point that my friend was pointing out was saying, like, some people may not really truly be identifying as polyamorous in its real authentic frame, being that you have the capacity and or have already been in love with more than one person at once, and you want to live that life in an open, transparent way where, you know, maybe even potentially kitchen table poly. I did another video about that, check it. You might actually want to have all your partners actually be partners as well, but that's not necessarily 100% what polyamory means. Now, polyamory falls underneath the umbrella term open relationships. There's lots of different types of open relationships. Sorry, it's actually called ethical non-monogamy. And so open relationships and polyamory and swinging and all these different types of lifestyles all fall underneath that umbrella. So for people who have absolutely no desire to have deep-rooted, loving, meaningful relationships with multiple partners, them throwing around the word like, oh, I'm polyamorous, just because that's a thing and it's mainstream and people are like, oh, I know what that word means. That word means you can sleep with whoever you want. Right?
Yeah. That's
what's like giving it a bad rep, and or, you know, all the news reports of like the groups of, I don't want to say something politically incorrect, I don't know, Mormons, religious people in like huge communities, and there was underage people and there was scandals in the news, just a lot of bad press. That doesn't mean that that's polyamory either, but when people see what the media portrays, then this is what people believe until they have other information to go on, right? So can I shut up for a minute? Did you want to throw in your
No.
Okay, well, she was basically saying, you know, there might be a lot of people out there who are saying like, oh yeah, okay, polyamory, I'm totally down with that, let's do that, that's cool, I identify with that, when really they don't have the emotional complexities and perspectives to really uphold what polyamory truly means. They're just desperate to be treated properly. They're desperate to have their partners tell them the truth. And that may not be
feel
because
in control of their relationship.
Feel it, yeah. People who
don't
just
have the trust,
want to actually feel in control of their relationships, because time and time again, I'm sure we've all can say we've felt like we do not have control of our relationships, and it's terrible. So when you're looking for people who have more practice being transparent and communicating and being open and having tough conversations, telling somebody that you love something that they don't want to hear or that's going to make them feel insecure is a difficult conversation. People who practice it every single day, which is a huge requirement in multiple partner relationships, become better at it. Anything you do all the time, you get better at it. It's a fine-tuned skill, like anything, right? So if you are somebody who has never practiced being truthful and transparent and upfront about things that are difficult to have conversations about, then you may be one of those people who cheat a lot and who lie to your partners. It's crazy. Some people are out there lying to like 4 people at once, and they're telling so many lies. Their whole lives are consumed with lies. Like the amount of energy they have to put out to juggle all of these fake lives that they're living. But then at the same time, they don't have the courage to just sit down and have a meaningful, raw, open conversation with one partner. Is like super crazy. And obviously that behavior gives monogamy a bad reputation. So on both sides of the fence, polyamorous or monogamous, there's people that are mistreating the word and what it represents and the obligations as a lover, identifying as one of these types of people. Like people are definitely not upholding them. And so there is some bad press on both sides. But there is also some loving, beautiful relationships out there with people who've been monogamous for 30 years. I love hearing these stories, and who potentially have never bullshitted each other, at least not about anything super important. But people do tell lies. This is human nature. I don't know why, but they do. They do a lot of this. And so one of the reasons why I am drawn to polyamory is because I am so thrilled at the idea that people will look me in my face and tell me things that I don't want to hear. And they'll hold my hand and they'll hug me and love me and give me time to work through the discomfort of things that aren't that comfortable to hear. But as I'm sure anybody who knows who've been around young kids growing up, for example, whether you were raising them or you have brothers and sisters, kids tend to have temper tantrums about things. And then a little while later, when they have time to calm down, they can sit with it and usually move forward and not actually be devastated by some of that information. And that goes along with adults when it comes to having tough relationship conversations. So I really thrive on pushing myself and maxing myself out almost to just try to strive to new heights with, my emotional capacity and strength. And that's what draws me to polyamory, because it's a very complicated way to live and it requires a lot more work. Obviously, the more people involved, the more work is involved, right? So, but yeah, for those of you out there who are, feeling trapped in an open relationship, be careful throwing the word polyamory around if it's really not the word you should be using, because an open relationship, sorry, can you hit that for me? An open relationship could just be, you guys deciding to allow each other to go and experiment on a date or with one sexual encounter or something, but you really have no need and there's no thoughts in your mind to feel like as if you would actually develop a love, deep-rooted, meaningful relationship with more than one of those partners. It's just more of like an adventure and an exploration rather than, I'm looking to spend the rest of my life with you, and you. And I'm going to make the effort to build those relationships in the depth that they will require, right? That's polyamory. So yeah, the umbrella term is ENM, that's the abbreviation, ethical non-monogamy. And underneath that umbrella term, there's open relationships, polyamory, polygyny, polygamy, swinging, the lifestyle, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other stuff out there that I don't know nothing about. So for those of you who have more experience with all kinds of less mainstream known terminologies for relationships, drop some of those stories in the comments below, please, because I'd love you to share. And yeah, let me know if there's anything further I can touch on the subject, because I don't want to go around in too many circles. I forgot to tell you again that my name is Chelsea. One of these days I'm going to learn how to make proper headers and stuff, but man, editing and producing is a lot of work to learn. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon.